This show is brought to you by Drift Outfitters in Toronto at 199 Queen Street East. Drift is remaining open during these difficult times, but with a new way of getting you your fly fishing goods without allowing customers into the shop. Visit them online at driftoutfitters.com to order products and take advantage of free shipping across Canada on orders over $100. Why not help them out during this difficult time for small businesses? Give them a shout out on Instagram. Got a great photo to share? Tag at Drift Outfitters. Also, you can tag your fly tying pics with hashtag self-isolation to show your friends and your followers how you're spending your downtime. Giving Drift more exposure and love right now is one way we can help keep them going. These are tough times, and we must find a way to continue supporting our community store. Visit driftoutfitters.com for more information. Hello, and welcome to another episode of SoFly. It's April 10th. Can you believe it? And it's like 2 degrees outside here. My name is Mitch. We got Aldo.
Hey, everybody.
We got Yilma.
Hey, everyone.
And we've got a very special guest on the show today. He's coming back for round 2. It's a friend of ours out in Montana. We've got angler and guide Matt Dodson on the show. Matt, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
It's been a while since our November Texas Redfish trip.
Yeah, man. That was a great time. Like, geez.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we missed you.
Yeah, Yilma's got to come on the next one for sure.
Next one, yeah.
Matt, whereabouts are you calling from today?
So my family and I live full time in Ennis, Montana, or at least most of the time when I'm not hauling them around different areas down south fishing. But yeah, we live right in downtown Ennis.
Nice.
Lived here for 5 years in this house. And, you know, we're a block and a half from the Madison and a block and a half from the gravel bar.
That's
and
so sick.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So
Are you block and a half from this distillery?
Yeah, actually, I took my daughter on a walk the other day and you could buy it through the window.
Oh, no.
You know,
way.
Amazing.
We're on
Obviously,
they're still selling bourbon through the window.
amazing.
Oh,
Obviously, I'm
that's good.
talking about a distillery in Ennis, Bighorn. Wait, Willie's Distillery, and I'm drinking Bighorn bourbon whiskey from
Yeah.
Montana.
That's right. They're getting pretty big. I think they're setting up another place in Big Sky,
Oh, nice.
Oh, crazy.
you know, and you can find that Bighorn bourbon. I mean, obviously, all the way out in Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh, I bought it when I was in Ennis.
Oh, you
This
did?
is like
Nice.
this is like
You
my
got
last. This is like my last droplet. I'm
crazy.
saving it for you.
You've got a lot more willpower than I do.
Yeah, Matt, it's nice to have you on, man. I think, the last time you were on, I wasn't able to do it. We haven't actually podcasted together.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
You were in the
That was a heck of a night. Oh, my God. I remember, like, when I edited that podcast when we got back or whatever, I was just hearing myself in the background just, like, screaming at the toilet. I'm just like, oh, my God.
That's so bad for you.
Yeah, so it's nice, though. We're doing round 2.
Yeah.
And you said you got out fishing today or yesterday?
I did yesterday. It's, you know, April can be hit or miss for weather up here.
Yeah.
And, you know, none of us are guiding because it's considered by the governor non-essential business.
Right.
Mm.
So we're pretty much quarantined and then trying to stay spaced out enough on the river to have some fun when the weather's nice. But it was like 65 degrees Fahrenheit, super calm, which never happens, and sunny.
Oh, man.
So we
Whoa,
kind of have
that
the
sounds
river
nice.
to ourselves
That must have been beautiful.
and fished some streamers and caught mostly browns and some rainbows.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You were saying you were
was-
expecting, like, this time of year is mostly, like, kind of worm type of fishing, eh? Squirmies and stuff.
Bugs and you know, I've been out wade fishing a few times before on colder days, and the fish were still kind of stuck in their winter holes.
Yeah.
And you know, you stand there with a bobber and 2 nymphs and some weight, and you're catching fish, but you know, that's your one hole, and it gets a little, for me anyway, it gets a little boring. I like covering water and
Yeah.
you know, stripping or throwing dries or yada yada yada. But
Yeah.
no, it was great. Really kind of unexpectedly good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, sick, man. Super jealous. Yeah, it's pretty cold up in Ontario right now. We were getting snow. It was like snowing this morning and yesterday too. And I don't know.
Where you are, I mean, Toronto's kind of is all right. I mean, 2 days ago it was 14. It was nice.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like
we're
this.
about to get snow. It's hot today, but the north wind is starting to blow. You can feel a cold front coming, and the weekend's going to be freezing, below freezing.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, why don't we go back to and just give people, because I know we talked a little bit about your fishing background and stuff like that on the last show, but why don't we just give people a quick quick history on how you got into fly fishing, where you're from originally, and how you found your way to Montana?
Yeah, thanks. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. So, we bass fished all the time out in East Texas on some of those, it's like blackwater lakes. It's really great habitat for largemouth. And in the summers, my grandparents started bringing us up to Ennis, Montana. So I think I was 6 my first time here, 5 or 6. And they gave me a little Zebco push button rod, and nice. I was so mad because I didn't get one of those cool long ones that my grandfather and dad had.
Yeah.
So I started really early casting fly rod, and fortunately the area that we fished mainly was the channels of the Madison just upstream from Ennis Lake. So you can probably hear my daughter crying in there.
Yeah, you got the whole family. It's kind of, we were just talking before the call how fun it is. You got the whole family there. And
quarantine, yeah.
Yeah.
So the wade access down there, wade fishing, it's really easy. Like, an 8-year-old kid can walk around and not get into too much trouble and throw a parachute Adams or a hopper or whatever and catch fish.
Yeah.
So finished college in Gunnison, Colorado, and moved up here the next day.
That's amazing, because you just knew like you wanted to get up to Montana.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we loved it so much. It was I never really understood why we lived in Dallas. If we liked Montana so much.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah.
But it's nice. I had to be here as soon as possible, for sure.
Yeah.
How long ago was that when you graduated?
Well, that was in 2009. In May of 2009, and I came up here and moved to Bozeman initially because I was 23, 24, and it was a happening place, a good place for
Bozeman is awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing, and just started guiding, and I guided all over. I think out here when you're starting out guiding, you just say yes to everybody, and someone calls you to guide the Yellowstone, you say, yeah, sure. And so I was going from the Gallatin to the Yellowstone to the Madison to the Big Hole, the Jefferson, the Beaverhead. I mean, putting 30,000 miles on the car. But most of the work and most of my really solid mentors were in Ennis, and we just decided to settle down here. And I love the Madison. It's sentimental to me in a lot of ways, and I know it like the back of my hand. I still remember like certain rocks where I caught certain fish as a kid, and I just know it.
Yeah.
The back of your hand.
Yeah.
So sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, I think it was 3 years ago was my first time in Montana, and driving west to east. I think the Madison was when I first, like, although Bozeman was super cool and stuff, the Madison was like, I didn't plan on going to Ennis, but for those of you who don't, or for those of you who haven't been, it's just this magic little pocket. You drive through the mountain valley, and then all of a sudden, like, it just kind of opens up, and you see the Madison meandering through. You can see the foothills in the background. What mountain range is that?
The Madison Range is to the east, and the Gravelly Range is the less dramatic one to the west.
So you see these, vaulted mountains behind you, and it's just like everything you ever thought of about Montana is right there in Ennis.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Towering mountains, and but you also have the wide open vistas, and you feel the vastness of the area. It's a nice. Sometimes you get a little complacent and take it for granted, but most of the time it doesn't take much to remember how lucky we are.
Yeah.
And no one can see this, but your fridge just opened up on its own and looked like a ghost. It's probably your daughter. It's just kind of like,
Yeah. Well, this house was built in like 1929, so you never know.
yeah.
Oh, man, that's wicked.
That's funny.
And so for a while too, you were guiding in Texas as well, right? You were going back and forth
Yeah.
between both.
Yep. So a few years ago, I had acquired a lot of saltwater experience, taking bonefish trips and doing some hosting down there, and just caught the bug.
Yeah.
Definitely listening to you guys with your Mexico and Tobago trips and your Texas trips with me.
Yeah.
Y'all feel the same way, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I just sort of realized that my home state had this amazing fishery that sort of gets overlooked.
Yeah.
And so we went down there a couple years ago and made the move and spent, the fall through spring was kind of my time down there. And it worked out in a whole lot of ways. And I think it was a success, and I'll still keep it in my back pocket. But man, owning two houses is incredibly difficult for a full-time fishing guide. And once we had our daughter, moving the family back and forth across the country twice a year is even harder. So
yeah, it's decent.
Yeah, I've got great connections down there. Like you guys hung out with Joe. He's got a good thing going. And then a couple other really good guys that I've got a lot of respect for that have been there for a while. Captain William Townsend and Ken Jones. They've, we're all still talking, and I'm not closing the door on that. It's something I might go back to, or at least go back to in like a hosted trip sort of way, I guess.
Yeah.
That
makes sense. I mean, yeah. How long of a drive was it from Montana to Texas each time you did that?
Oh man. Well, it's 24 hours to Dallas. So that'd be like 2.5, 3 days drive.
That's decent, man.
To there. And then, another 6 hours from Dallas. So
would you tow the skiff, or did you leave it in Texas?
I left it in Texas. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't, even though it was pretty tempting to have it on Ennis Lake or Hebgen Lake or something like that, I'd have the most badass trout boat in Montana.
Yeah, that'd be
but,
sick.
I didn't want to put those miles on the trailer. Something bad would happen.
Oh man, for sure.
Yeah, true.
For sure.
24 hours, Jesus.
Yeah.
I get cranky with 6.
That's a trek, man. Yeah, I remember when you drove down to Texas when we came down, that you had driven your truck that way. I was like, holy crap, man. Like,
yeah. And when it's just me, it's way more doable. I can do pretty long pushes, but when we got the kiddo in the car seat and the U-Haul and the second car, and it's quite the circus.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. But it's so we're back here. We spent the winter here, and I went back to my ski patrol job. So that was a nice change of pace.
Yep.
I'm supposed to be in the Bahamas right now, hosting trips and fishing the west side of Andros. So, when we get these freezing temperatures and cold fronts up here right now, and I'm stuck inside on quarantine and everything everybody else is dealing with right now, it's pretty hard not to think about what I would be doing.
When did you start hosting trips in the Bahamas?
Yeah, so that was back in 2015. Just by, like any business, I think it's who you know and connections you make, and knew the right people, and this tiny little place on the west side of Andros, has access to the most amazing backcountry estuary, nursery, I should say, for bonefish, juvenile bonefish, and then legendary big bonefish flats, which is part of the Bahama Bank, which is I think it's the largest flat in the Western Hemisphere.
Oh man!
Wow!
It stretches 50 miles out all the way to the Gulf Stream.
50 miles.
Yeah, so it's not all like weightable flat, right?
Yeah.
You get averages like 12 foot of depth change every mile.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
but you can be out 49 miles out there and it's still 22, 25 feet deep or something like that. It's crazy.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, but it's just really remote. And
yeah.
The bonefish are dumb and plentiful. It's the best combination of fishing, right?
Yeah, man, that's a pretty good little system that you've got going on, hosting trips there and then guiding in Montana and then Texas too.
Well,
I mean,
and they play off of each other. I was able to meet all these great folks in Andros, and since they don't operate in the summer, it was a great opportunity to say, hey, I don't know if you've ever fished the Madison River, but you should come up. So that allowed me to get my outfitter license in the state of Montana. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of good.
Oh, nice.
Independent.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
And then of course it also, yeah, like you say, it also like connects with other people who might be looking to fish in other places, right? And you can keep that business going. That's
and
cool.
then those guys, were like super stoked on Texas redfish.
Yeah.
And even when I was brand new there and only knew a few places to go, they were excited to come fish with me and kind of guinea pig.
Yeah.
So that was really nice.
Yeah.
Totally. I'd happily guinea pig with you any day. That was Texas was amazing.
So fun.
Yeah.
So fun, man.
Did you find it hard? Like, I mean, you could place like Montana where there is so much fly fishing tourism. Like, is it hard busting out to bust out on your own as a guide? Like, what kind of process is that?
Yes and no. I think I don't think it's hard to get a position as a guide necessarily, because there is such high demand. It's a huge destination, and well known across the world for being sort of the place in the U.S. anyway, in my opinion, to go catch trout on a fly rod.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, big time.
It is, because of that saturation, it is harder to stick with it and be successful with it and make it a career.
Mm-hmm.
You got to sort of wade through a lot of figuring out who to be, attached with, and figure out what you like too, and I mentioned earlier how when I first started, I just had to say yes to everything and say, yes, I can, and I'll be there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then that's when you start making your connections, and which has been the only reason I've been able to fish all over the world and learn how to guide saltwater, and all these opportunities I've had is just making an effort to find the right people to be associated with up here in Montana.
Right. Making those connections.
Yeah, it's a far-reaching guide community. I mean, people here in Ennis, they're going to the Keys, the Seychelles, Patagonia, Greenland, Kamchatka, all over the world. And so it's kind of a cool deal.
Yeah. Yeah. What were some of the challenges you faced, like when starting up? Like, what are some of the things? Because you say it's just hard work and dedication obviously pays off.
Yeah.
But what are some of those like initial challenges?
Learning, a lot of it's learning the etiquette and just how to be.
Right.
And that's everywhere. Every fishery has its own little nuances. And I was fortunate enough to kind of get brought under the wings of a couple veteran outfitters here. Yeah. And they just, in my opinion, do it right. And so, but they were real hard on me, especially if I was working for them. Yeah. On making sure like I minded my P's and Q's. But I definitely got yelled at and chewed out a few times for, not looking behind me before I pulled my anchor and started rowing again. And
right.
Or cut people off, or got too close to somebody, or didn't get in line right at the boat ramp. Or,
right. So it's etiquette. It's etiquette when it comes to like in terms of other boats and other people, but also like in your boat, how to deal with guests and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And how to not only the technical aspect of guiding, which in my opinion, I think everybody has the potential to learn, but dealing with the people, and you get people from every demographic in every place in the world, and learning how to connect with all those folks. Some people have it and some people don't, and I think it's obvious the ones that don't, because they get washed out real quick.
Totally.
Right.
Gotta have a certain personality for it, right? Like, you're a pretty nice, easygoing guy, so it's like getting along with anybody, right? It's like maybe a bit easier for you, but
and this is me excited right now. So like, if you miss the fish, I'm not gonna figure you out and make you cry or anything. It's we'll go find another one. And I think you guys spent 3 days with me on the boat in Texas, and you probably got a good taste of my attitude towards it. If I start yelling and cursing and slapping the water with my push pole or stomping around, it's always directed at the fish and not the fishermen.
Yeah. No, for sure, man. I mean, we were saying the other day on a podcast that's coming out this upcoming Sunday, that I remember trout setting on like a bunch of fish, and you're just like, yeah, whatever, that's cool, whatever, like visibly like gonna kill me, and I'm just like trout setting on these things. But yeah,
especially in salt, I think guides, captains, there's a sort of preconceived notion that they're pretty high strung and amped up and sort of hard on you, and I think that's the truth. I've experienced it, but for the most part, I think that's just the way it comes out. But the reality is they want you to catch that fish so bad,
Yeah.
And so that's where I think that comes from. But and I try to bring the calm, not the chaos.
Yeah.
And if I'm calm, then I find that the anglers are calm and laid back about it. And in the long run, I think it pays dividends.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it seems so after seeing that footage in Texas. So
Yeah, I definitely felt the calm. Like I was fishing with you the second day, and we had this like pod of redfish like right tight to the bank, and they're like making their way down, and I cast it into the grass, and you're just like, just pull it through the grass, and it like plopped off of the grass into the water, and then one of the redfish ate it.
Yeah.
And he's like, perfect. And I was like, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That was just from staying calm. That was just because I was about to freak out and recast.
Yeah, if you had ripped it out of the grass, then it might have caused a big disruption and blown those fish up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So in terms of like a guiding season in Montana, like I think something we don't have to deal with here is runoff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, what does your season kind of look like? Do you start in April and then kind of take a break and then get back on the water? Or?
Yeah. So I used to, and that's kind of what until I started, going down and fishing saltwater. But spring fishing gets going in Montana, at least in the fishing towns like Ennis and Livingston, maybe, and up on the Missouri, like out of Craig, Montana. It gets going around April. And then, we do, even though we are a tailwater here on the Madison, we still experience runoff because the reservoirs are filling up and they have to release.
Right.
But we also do have feeder creeks throughout, the stretch of the upper Madison. So while it doesn't usually last as long, I think it does change things. We go from, maybe some caddis hatching before runoff, but it's a nymph fishery for the most part. And then runoff happens usually like maybe 10th of June, give or take a few days, is like the peak. So in Mother's Day through the second week of June, first half of June is sort of when the Madison gets high and off color. And some days it's unfishable, some days you can still get away with it. But that's sort of when everybody starts gearing up for the salmon flies, and everybody gets anxious. And you see on Instagram like pictures of every salmon fly that's hatched on the first day. And then everybody wonders why we get so crowded.
Yeah, exactly.
So it usually takes a good spike in water temp and a decrease in those flows for those bugs to start crawling to the banks and hatching. and then it's game on. That's when I don't usually book clients until like June 20th.
Okay.
And then
okay.
full on like every day through mid-October.
Oh wow.
First of October.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I grew up fishing July and August on the Madison, and so I only fished dry flies growing up, and so that's how I know the river the best. And so for me, my confidence is in all those hatches. And on a really good year like last summer, I had a dry fly on every day from like the 24th of June through, I think we had a cold front like September 17th or something like that. But it was like,
oh wow, jeez,
Wow.
you know, it was like
awesome.
yeah, it was like salmon flies to golden stones to caddis to mayflies to hoppers.
oh that's rad.
Yeah,
It's a pretty fun year.
And yeah, I mean, the fish in the Madison are amazing. They're huge.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get like the. In fact, there's been a study like our large fish population is decreasing a little bit over the last year or two. However, but we still like, I caught a dozen 22s last summer, and usually we get fish a little bit bigger, 23, 24 maybe, one or two of those a year. But the noticeable part about the Madison is the fish are all healthy. Like you catch a 14-inch brown and he's just solid muscle, or the 18-inch fish combined with the current and the strength of that fish, it's going to take you for a ride.
Yeah. Oh man, 22s, the last 12 22s is pretty good though. That's a pretty good season.
Heck yeah. And it's amazing, like
such a modest,
amazing how
modest
big
man.
that fish is.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how I remember like when I was just starting out, I'd catch like a big fish and I'd bring it towards the boat or bring it towards the net, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that's 22 all day. And you measure it and it's like 19,
Yeah.
Man, 22-inch fish is
It's a big fish. Oh yeah. Why don't we go through kind of like a typical day on, let's say, like maybe the Madison, like guiding on the Madison? Like, what does a typical day for you look like? And also one thing I kind of want to talk about maybe as we get towards the end of the day is what do you do if you're not catching fish? Like, what are your kind of go-to things? Okay. But like right from the morning, like let's say we're going out, first time we met you, what can we expect? And cool, I never fished the Madison, but like it looks like a beautiful river, and I just like would love to hear.
Just the best.
Oh
it's
man,
just the best.
So I just want to know what a day is like. When
my
you're
day starts. My day starts the night before.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
So I check. I call you and see what you want for lunch.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't have any crazy requests.
Yep.
Call my lunches in. Hose the boat off. Pour a cocktail.
Yeah.
And then
nice.
My fishing day is.
What kind of cocktail? What kind of cocktail typically?
Ooh, summertime. I'm a vodka soda guy.
Yeah. Okay. Classic.
One of my buddies the other day called it mom water, and I got really offended.
That's pretty awesome.
And I'm like, what about dad water? And he's like, well, dad water is when you use White Claw for the mixer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Book into vodka soda with a vodka soda.
Yeah, right.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah. So my fishing day, like I'm working 12 hours a day. So I'll wake up early, hook the boat up to the trailer, run to the gas station, go to the grocery store to get snacks, go to this place I get sandwiches here called the Picnic Basket.
Nice, nice.
It's, like homemade fresh sandwiches, and the owner Sherry does a fantastic job for like fisherman ready lunches.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice. It's a great
name. Cooler packed, and then depending on water temps and crowds is kind of when I decide on a meeting time.
Yeah.
It's in the heat of the summer we might get out not really first light, but early.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I might meet you at 6:15.
Yeah.
Typically, I'm floating, 12 to 16 miles a day of river.
Decent.
Yeah, and although you saw the Madison moves at a pretty good clip,
Mhm.
and so we can cover a lot of water, which is nice for guys like me that really enjoy fishing dry flies most of the time,
Yeah.
because numbers wise, you could probably catch more fish per mile on a bobber rig.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
as you guys well know. But in order to maybe make up for those numbers, we just cover more water.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 12 to 16 miles that's a decent amount of water.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we're back rowing. I find a lot of times the harder I row and the slower my boat's going, the more fish I catch.
Yeah.
Which also makes sense, but it helps with the drift. You can get a better drift sometimes, but yeah. So I row a 16-foot fiberglass Classic Craft drift boat. It's a
Nice.
low profile, because we have a lot of wind.
Yeah.
So it handles that river really well. It's got a lot of rocker, so it allows you to slow it down,
Right.
Right.
and move it around a lot pretty easily. So it's a great, real traditional design boat out here, and very popular. You see them. We hit a lot of rocks because it's a fast, shallow river.
Yeah.
And we can put some damage on a drift boat.
Yeah.
But you see these Clacka low pros that, guys are still running after 12, 15 years.
Yeah.
So they hold up.
Wow. Geez. 12. How long have you had yours for?
1 year.
Okay. So it's pretty recent, this one.
I got a freshie last June. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
Yeah. So you're working out there too, like rowing, like, cause you say it's a fast moving water, and
Oh, yeah.
in order to get the right drift, you really got to row, eh?
Yeah. There's no lily dipping
Yeah.
on the mast.
Yeah.
If you want to.
No need for a gym membership.
Yeah. So, and traditionally, like the old school guides like to do a streamside lunch with tables and chairs.
Yep.
It seems like the trend is going away from that. People are like, I just want to fish, so let's eat this sandwich quick in the boat.
Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel it out. Like some of my groups, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
In which case, there's a few places I prefer on the river.
Yeah.
For my lunch spots, and I get really upset if they're taken.
Oh man. Yeah.
I get that, man. I get that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I bring a little ant spray.
Yeah.
I've got some money invested in my lunch spots, and when people take the good ones, I'm like, dang.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough, man. Because that's like you say that. I mean, I guess one thing too is like, what are your client? Like, who are your clients? Like, who's a typical client for you? Because I mean, there's probably a huge range, right? Being in Montana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have sort of stumbled into a lot of clients that have been coming here for a long time, which is really fun.
Yeah.
And they have been they've been hiring the same guides that my family used to.
Oh, cool.
And that I grew up fishing
Right.
with. So like, I know that program, I know how they fish. And so their clients also know that program. And so it's really seamless. Like they know the angle of the cast, where the fly should be, where the fish should be. They know, like, if I row up towards the rock, they're going to drift that fly up to the pillow, and then pick it up and make a downstream cast in the slick.
Right.
I don't have to say, all right, pick up downstream in the slick. I don't have to say that 100 times a day.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's kind of nice.
And if I have to, say that with people that don't know that program, that's fine. I enjoy teaching it.
Yeah. So you do get a huge range.
I get a lot of Texans, which is cool because, like I said earlier about trying to relate to people from all over the place, different backgrounds. If I have somebody from the old neighborhood, like, we have stuff to talk about all day, and it's super easy.
Right.
Those folks tend to, they're like, oh yeah, Matt from Dallas. Like, we're definitely fishing with him.
That's
What
cool.
what about age group? Like, do you see a lot of young new fly anglers, or more like
There,
us?
yep, there's getting to be, um, we're getting to see that. I would say right now, like our age folks are coming out to fish, but they might not necessarily be hiring guides.
Mm.
Right.
And about
Yeah.
half of my folks are older, retired, and they've been coming out here for 25, 30 years. And then, but I'd say it spans the whole range.
Yeah.
Families for sure. And what I hope is that those older folks that bring their families out, I hope their kids pick up the tradition of
Mhm.
coming to Montana, and
Yeah.
then sort of the clients get passed down with the guides.
Yeah.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
cool.
That'd be super cool, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, you end
Yeah.
up with a cool lineage,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of history behind those groups. It's really fun to fish those groups that have been fishing with those guides, just like my family did back,
Yeah.
for years and years.
Yeah.
Why did your grandparents like end up in Ennis? Like, why did they bring you to like? What
Well,
was
it's
that
kind of
decision?
funny. Like Texans are pretty well known for taking over Colorado during ski season and summer.
Right.
And so my family was, the typical Texan group that would go up to the mountains. And my grandfather and a bunch of his buddies leased this supposedly amazing high mountain, sort of, there's a ranch way up in the mountains above Creede, Colorado. But as his buddies were getting older, that altitude was starting to cause problems for those guys. And one of them kind of knew a guy that was coming out to Ennis, Montana, and it's like instead of 10,500 feet, it's 4,700 feet out here. So much easier altitude wise. And back then in the late 80s, this was a cowboy town that fished a little bit.
Mhm.
And, it was a little different vibe, less of a trout mecca that it is now.
Yeah.
But I can't even imagine what it would be like in the mid 80s to come out here and fish. I hear stories about it all the time and wish I would have been here.
So has it changed? So it really has changed that much, since then?
Yeah, just popularity.
Yeah.
Popularity,
And it's easy to get to now, like super easy. There's nonstop flights to Bozeman from every major city.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah.
Which is both good and, well, I think it's great. I love the business. I want people to come out here and experience it.
Right, and take care of it. So have you seen
Yeah.
a decrease or an increase in, I should say a decrease in environmental problems or anything that's sort of because of the popularity?
In fact, the Madison River, we're going through a little bit of a imminent change. Right now it's unlimited outfitters.
Oh,
So
wow.
you still have to get like a specific outfitter permit, but it's just something you pay for. So, if you guys went and got your Montana outfitter license, you could outfit commercially on the Madison River.
Oh, wow.
So there's, it's open in that respect. It does get crowded, and during certain peak times, there tend to be maybe some conflicts between user groups. Guides and outfitters have run-ins with, some angry private trip or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stuff that happens just with the concentration of folks.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to say it does get crowded, especially like that salmon fly hatch. And last year we had an insane hopper year that started July 30th and went all the way through September. And word got out, and
Oh, man.
guides from Livingston were over here. Guides from everywhere were over here fishing. So, I guess to bring it back to the health of the stream, the river handles crowds really well. It's it's a dam controlled river, but it acts in characteristic like a freestone as far as the way it's structured.
Mm-hmm.
Aldo, you've seen it. There's not, especially upstream from town, there's we don't have like holes per se. Like it's a real shallow pocket water river, and so it spreads the fish out.
Right.
So in my opinion, and I think it holds true, is that it does hold up to that pressure. The science behind it, the health of the fishery is scientifically, it's great. This last study, I think it came out in early 2019, is the fish numbers and those big fish numbers are down a little bit. But if that was a 4 or 5 year trend, that'd be something to worry about. But I believe it's a cyclical deal, just like every fishery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back in 2008, I think 07, 08, before I started guiding out here, the dam broke up at Head Lake, and so for 8 years after that, they were pouring water over the top.
Oh man.
Instead of the bottom. So it was 2 to 3 degrees on average warmer than it should have been.
Jesus, that seems like a pretty bad mistake.
Yeah.
How does a dam just break? Good Lord.
Yeah, right. I guess I wasn't on it. We came like a month after that happened and fished, but the stories I heard from it is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. But needless to say that temperature increase changed the aquatic insects and the hatch schedules and the size of the hatches, so on and so forth. So we're this will be our 3rd year since the dam got fixed.
Okay.
And we've all noticed great changes.
Right.
It's been really nice. We used to, when the dam was broken and they were pouring hot water over the top onto hot water, we were getting temperatures, in the low 70s. And I don't think it got over 68 last year.
Okay.
Fahrenheit.
That's good.
And so instead of having to fish worms through August in hot water, we were able to fish hoppers and caddis and ants.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I guess so. The some of the like challenges the river faces out there. I mean, it's like you say, the dam was something, but it's not like there's huge development and stuff around the river, right? Like that's pretty protected in terms of how wild it is.
It is, and thankfully there's like a group called Montana Land Reliance, and their job is to set up conservation easements for a lot of these big cattle ranches that are finding it more financially feasible to sell. So folks are buying old ranches as a second home.
Right.
So you pick up a 1,600 acre ranch along the Madison.
Yeah.
That conservation.
You sound like it's that easy.
Yeah, that conservation easement. Right. Yeah. Just the $6 million of couch chain.
Yeah.
But those are set up to where they can't subdivide that.
Right. Okay. That's good. At least like there's this community that exists to protect it all. Because it's a lot of land.
Going back to the crowds and it being sort of open outfitting, they are devising these regulations.
Nice.
To cap the outfitters on the river and set up some sort of allocation of historical user days. So a guy like me I might run my tags and operate independently maybe 60 days out of my 100 days. So they would look at my last 5 years and say, okay, here you go, Matt Dodson gets 60 days on the Madison River for the rest of his life or for the rest of his outfitting career.
Oh wow.
So other rivers in the state have done similar things, and I think there's some good that comes out of it. Obviously it does diminish the crowds, but you also have to take into account the economic effect.
Yeah, totally.
What it could do. Ennis is economically independent from a place like Bozeman. We've got our own economy here, and if things regulate too much, then we might lose a little bit of that.
Right.
Hmm.
Tougher to guide as well and all that.
Yeah, and the hard part is if it's a scientific data that's leading toward regulating, based on the health of the river and the ecosystem.
Yeah,
that's one thing, but just saying, oh, I felt like it was crowded.
Yeah.
And then basing, going off of that and regulating that, I don't know.
Yeah, that seems kind of weird.
Yeah.
It seems less scientific for sure.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. It is crazy, like banker's hours during the salmon fly hatch. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Out here. Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, like you say, we've all seen the pictures of the salmon flies and, the fish freaking out. It's like,
Like I was there in April.
Yep.
And I was camping at one of the put-ins, and I'd get up in the morning and there'd be 12 drift boats, and this is like off season.
Yeah.
Sure. And it was like a Wednesday.
Jesus. Wow.
Right. Yeah, it's some of those guys could have been, guides day off type trips or
right.
Mm-hmm.
whatever, but it's a business.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, like I find myself kind of strategizing ways to avoid the crowds.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll fish like below the hatch.
Yeah.
A little bit. So I might get a little bit of early salmon flies, and then through the day go into like golden stones and caddis,
right,
and do just as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And or just put in later, and I mean in late June, you guys have the same amount of sunlight. It's fishable till 9 p.m.
Oh yeah.
Easy.
Oh,
so
I love those days, man. So fun.
Those days are starting probably around eight when it starts to get a little dark now, and it's April, so
yeah, it's noticeable. If we were all allowed outside more, it'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the only problem.
Yeah,
it's pesky virus.
I'm hoping for July. I'm thinking July. That's where we're sort of getting back to work. Our day jobs. Well, our day jobs, not your day job.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
I think probably about right. We're all hoping. Our main trout season hasn't yet been affected by the virus, since most of us get going like that third week of June.
Right.
So we're hoping for somewhat of a normality to set back in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ours is in about what, 2 weeks, Aldo? 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
It's
trout opener's in like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So your trout season up there, I fished like in Minnesota before, and they have a fishing opener.
Yeah.
What's sort of the logic behind that? Is it for spawning fish, or what's the point of having a fishing season?
It's the spawning, right?
Spawning and just protecting fish when they're more vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's different where you are in the province, right? Like we're in the most populated area in the province, so we have different regulations than, let's say, Northern Ontario, where they might keep a season open all year round, right?
Yeah.
So people can ice fish for them or whatever.
Yeah. We the Madison used to have a good chunk of the river closed from like mid-March through mid-May
Mm-hmm.
for the rainbow spawn. But then they realized that the rainbow population was thriving tremendously, and they decided to open it up. And I almost wonder, like, and of course, the first couple of years after they opened it up, like spring fishing was just lights out.
Yeah.
But then you run the risk of the fishing public not necessarily being able to identify a red.
Yeah.
And go traipsing along, or being like, oh my God, look at those big fish. I'm going to rip a streamer through there and catch a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So I kind of, granted, I wasn't here and was fishing for bonefish and stuff, but that time of year, but I'm kind of for that, in those spawning areas, leave those fish alone for a while.
Well, especially like you say, like, especially as more people start coming out to the rivers, like that's really it. Like Southern Ontario gets hit hard. So, if there's any way we can sort of shorten that amount of pressure that it gets, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because man, it's talk about like, I mean, we talk about Montana as being slammed, Southern Ontario, like there's a lot of anglers and not that much trout water, I guess, for what it is. So it's like, you know, but yeah, no, season's gonna be good.
I've been looking at videos of pike.
Oh yeah, man.
And my goal was to buy a jet boat this spring.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Okay. All those eyes.
All those eyes.
And a fresh new boat in my driveway would scare the crap out of me right now with no income coming.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's like, I've never caught a pike before, and I think especially in certain like shallow water sight fishing scenarios, it would be the most exciting freshwater fish I could think of, maybe.
Yeah, man, they're super fun.
They're fun. I think we got lucky because we were fishing for river pike, so they're a little bit more friskier than the ones in the lake. So that was fun.
Well, they had shoulders on them, you know, but like, when you're fishing pike in like 3 feet of water on a sunny day, and they can be pretty active and pretty wild. They're so cool looking, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we've got muskie in certain places, which I've never even attempted.
Yeah.
I know our friend Chloe
Yep.
is all about that. And I texted her this winter and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about getting a jet boat. I was like, maybe you should take me muskie fishing.
That'd be sick.
Maybe those plans are in the works if I ever get a boat.
Yeah, that'd be fun, man. That'd be fun. Muskie be super fun on the fly.
Or when you're allowed, you come up here and we'll take you pike fishing.
Yeah, we'll take you pike fishing. Oh yeah.
Repay the Texas favor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never fished in Canada.
Oh man.
And I've only been through Western Canada.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot different out here. I could tell you Ontario is not any close to that, but we'll definitely catch pike and walleye and fly and awesome. For sure we'll do some fishing up here. That'd be sick, man.
Yeah. That'd be amazing.
So why don't we go back to that day? We're at lunchtime and that good day on the water. And you guys, let's say you had you parked the boat at one of your favorite lunch spots. You have a great lunch. You go back on the water. What's the rest of the day look like?
You know, we just hope that in the back of my mind, I'm feeling the wind all day. And, you know, we can get kind of screwed by a north wind on the Madison.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as somebody says, oh my God, the wind stopped blowing. It's like, well, wait 5 minutes because it's just turning around, you know?
Oh, yeah.
That north wind, more than anything, can ruin the drift.
Right.
And it's not because the fish aren't there. It's not because the fish aren't eating. It's because that drift doesn't look right because, you know, the leader is landing behind the fly line.
Yeah. That's tough.
And so that's a dry fly fisherman's guide's nightmare out here. But you know, it's usually I'm taking off about 4:30.
Okay.
Kind of in the heat of the day. That's a long day for people.
Yeah.
The way I like to do it on the Madison is standing up in the boat, you know, legs in the leg braces.
Yeah.
Because it's a fast river, the water comes at you quick, and you always have to be thinking ahead where my next cast is going to be.
Yeah.
And standing up just allows you to be more athletic.
Yeah.
It allows you to see those fish come up and hit. You can maybe see them coming from 3 feet away.
That's cool.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And you can. It's all visual, right? You see the fish come up and try to eat your fly, which is motivation. If you miss it, motivation to make another cast and put it back in there.
Yeah, and at least you see it too. That's pretty rad. That's super fun.
Yep. But yeah, it's I mean, living in Ennis, I never have to drive more than 40 minutes down the road to put the boat in.
Yep.
And then we always float back towards town. So, you know, I can take my boat out of the river and drop my clients off at, you know, their house or VRBO or motel. And I'm in the backyard playing fetch with my dog 2 minutes later. So
yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool, man.
Yeah, just in time to another cocktail.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds like a pretty good day to me, man. I think for a lot of people listening to this too, like you've got a pretty awesome job.
Yeah, I love it. And it's the only way to do it. I mean, there's no incentive other than loving this job.
Yeah.
Right.
There's we talked earlier about getting into guiding, and I think a lot of folks get into guiding because they like fishing.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's why I got into it. I didn't know, if I would take to it or not. And I didn't know if it was going to be a 1 or 2 year and done deal and move back to Texas, or if I was going to do this for the rest of my foreseeable career, which seems like what's happening. But
yeah,
I think the guides that do make it, maybe their goals have changed from them being the ones that catch the fish to helping somebody else catch the fish and getting just as much satisfaction, or if not more, by being in that role. And that's what I've enjoyed. It's and I think I may have mentioned this on maybe the last podcast we did, or at least in conversation. I feel like it's like remote control fishing for me. It's like I get to coach that person into catching a fish.
Right.
I'm catching that fish with their hands, sort of.
Yeah.
And when that line goes tight, like, I get more excited when your line goes tight than when my line goes tight.
Yeah. That's pretty sick then. I mean, because then you're basically fishing every day.
And that's when, and that's right. And after 80 days straight on the Madison River, I can still wake up and look forward to going out there and rowing.
Yeah.
That's lucky, man. Yeah.
That's a lot of work, man. Straight too, no days off.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, but the love for it that you have that's genuine and very rare, I would think.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is hard work for sure, and knowing, being in with the right folks, and that goes a long way. And I've been really fortunate to have a lot of great mentors that are really well respected, and sort of helped me, I think, come along a little faster than what it might take normally.
Yeah.
So I've been pretty fortunate.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Do you got 20 minutes? We could do a Factor Fishy with Yilma?
Oh, yeah.
20 minutes?
Half an hour, 20 minutes? I don't know.
Another hour?
These guys, I tell you.
Yilma's got a Factor Fishy he prepared for today, and I don't know. Like the last one was, I don't know, Yilma.
Are you familiar with Factor Fishy, Matt?
Yeah, I am. And I play the game often when I listen to your podcast. So.
Right.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're not well scripted or well written, but I try to give like the Cole's notes, because I want all 3 or 4 stories to sound like it's coming from the same voice.
Right.
And I try to give it a title, which is terrible because I'm not a writer. Mitch is the writer.
I love it.
Yeah.
Take us into a Factor Fishy, baby.
Okay, so the first one I'm calling. Oh God! I'm calling "In Her Arms."
In Her Arms.
In Her Arms.
Okay.
So we have a lot. Cottage country is like a big thing in obviously northern Ontario, and we love it. We love to get out there. So a couple, they're fishing for some smallmouth on their lake, and the gentleman hooks into a nice smallmouth, pulls it, jumps, because smallmouth love to jump, as they do, the little acrobats that they are, and lands in his wife's arms.
Okay.
That's why I've called it in her arms. So, Factor Fishy.
That's the story? They're couples fishing on a lake, and the bass jumps out of the water into her arms?
Into her arms. It's a nice story.
After hooked, the fish was hooked?
Oh, yeah, fish was hooked.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to say fact.
All right.
What kind of boat was it? Do you know?
It's not a boat. They're on their dock.
Oh, on the dock.
On the dock.
Yeah.
I'm still going to go.
That's a fact.
I don't know, man. I'm going to go with...
Take your time, It's not a buzzer beater.
I'm going to go with fishy because it just sounds like something you wish would happen with a girlfriend you might have one day.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to say fact too. I'm going to say fact too because I feel like this is something like... This could happen, but man,
Like,
smallmouth,
it's plausible.
that's a
It's easily
decent
plausible.
that's a decent jump, but I don't know how
Yeah.
low the
Aldo,
dock
what
was.
were your majors in university again?
Sociology and political science.
Right. Political science, sociology. Aldo's very good at tapping into which ones are fact or fishy based on my personality and the types of stories that I picked.
Well, I
It's
think
fishy.
typically when you write a fishy story, it's about a girl.
Fishy. Yeah, if it's about a girl, it's definitely fishy.
Yeah.
Some love story that I made up.
One time I was with this girl. Oh, yep, fishy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
No, you weren't.
That was fishy. Okay, right on.
That was fishy.
Nice.
All right. The next one I'm calling.
Matt, have you caught a smallmouth on a fly?
No, and that's another thing I have to
You gotta
do.
come to Northern Ontario.
Because they're everywhere up here, man.
Pike and
Yeah.
smallmouth, we'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll
I
do
mean,
it.
everybody always says it's like the most, pound for pound, the hardest fighting freshwater fish.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And they'll eat like topwater and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I always catch my smallies on topwater. Majority of them, anyways.
They're so fun.
If you can get them, like you almost saying, like the pike in the rivers, if you can get the smallies in a river, man, because they have to
shoulders.
fight the current, they are strong.
They are strong. I had a smallie on the Maitland River over when Aldo and I went out for steelhead, and I thought it was a steelhead. That's how powerful it was.
Yeah, they fight. They pull for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Rad.
All right. Second factor, fishy. We ready? Calling this one rattlesnake.
Okay.
All right.
Ooh.
So, I chose to write about this one because you're from you guide in Texas, so I thought rattlesnake. I mean, there's rattlesnakes everywhere, but
Oh yeah, funny.
this one was at the Brazos River in Texas.
Yeah.
I did some research, so this could be fact or fish. You don't think it's as fact?
Sorry,
as
what was the name of the river?
Did I say it right?
I don't know what it. What, like,
Brazos?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brazos.
Brazos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I know it.
Okay.
I know it well.
Okay. So maybe he did some research. I'm already thinking this is fishy, but
I've
okay.
done. I always do research, always,
Yeah.
because I don't want anybody to think that this is fact or fishy too quickly. You guys have to have. This is an intellectual conversation.
All right. Okay.
So it was a guide, and he took out a couple of clients, and they weren't catching all day. So he jumped off the boat, went to the what do you call it? The side of the river, grabbed the rattlesnake and fished for largemouth. The rattlesnake pulling out a 10-pound largemouth. Fact or fishy?
Okay, I'm going to dissect this a little bit. So, guide gets his clients, nothing's happening all day. He's like, I know what'll work. He jumps out of the boat,
Yeah,
and he catches by hand a rattlesnake.
but not by
Does
hand. He
Does he chop it up, or does he use the whole thing?
I don't know.
He doesn't think about it.
Like puts it, like uses it as.
He uses it as bait. That's correct.
I have heard
Yeah.
that largemouth bass will eat a rattlesnake. So
Oh man.
Really?
without knowing the size of this snake,
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with it, and I'll say fact. I'm an optimist.
You are. So am I. My
mean,
life's good. My life's good too.
Largemouth eating snake. Yeah. I mean, okay. And it was a fly fishing trip, or just a fishing trip?
Fishing trip.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go fact.
Yeah, I'll go fact too.
Oh wow. Good job, guys.
That's
Oh,
fact.
Yeah, we're
Yay!
back.
Good job, guys.
I mean, I would love to see him try and do this. Do you have like a follow up?
I got pictures. I didn't look into it, but there's like a there's a follow up to this story, Aldo?
Just like a background, like
Yeah.
it was like Earl of Earl's fishing guides down
Yep.
in like
Yeah. I'll send it to you guys later.
Send it. We'll post in the show notes.
Okay, cool.
My best friend from Texas, he actually lives in Bozeman now, but his family has a place on the Brazos,
Oh, nice.
and they have like a sand bass run.
Okay.
Certain times of the year. I think it's spring. They go down there with fly rods and streamers, and
Oh, nice.
catch those
Nice.
sand bass are
Cool.
like smaller warm water bass, and then he also catches big gar.
Oh yeah.
with a but he just uses red like yarn
Okay.
Mhm.
and
It's
like
cotton
strips it over their face, and then they bite and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah.
They're nasty looking.
Yeah, man, those
crazy.
Texas gar are crazy looking. After we had Aaron Reed on the show, I was Googling just like fishing in Texas and stuff, Central Texas, and I was like, man, those gar fishing's crazy there.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
It's just the third time I'm hearing about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be cool to do.
Yeah.
There's a gar in Ottawa.
Oh yeah,
Well,
Yep.
there's a bunch in Rockport. Actually, you'll see when if you get a big rain, in those on the inland side, mainland side of those bays,
yeah.
you'll think you're about to throw at a giant redfish, and it's a gar.
Oh man,
Whoa.
Jesus, place is
In fact,
crazy.
I think that guy was his name Aaron. I think he
Yeah.
was talking about seeing
Yeah.
big gar.
Yeah, big
on the coast.
alligator gar. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a diverse fishery. Well, good job, Yelma. You didn't stump us.
You got one more?
Good job. Yeah, I got one more. So, I mean, I don't condone bow fishing, but this is a bow fishing story. So Asian carp, everybody's heard about Asian carp.
Oh, yeah.
They are invasive in certain areas, this one particular being in Louisiana. And so they start to jump. There's so many of them, they're jumping across the into the air over the boat. They decided to take out their bow and arrows or whatever and shoot.
Yeah.
I always the thing with all these stories, I always stumble at some point. And then they start to shoot, like shooting a fish in a barrel, basically, and catching their Asian carp on bow and arrow. Factor fishy.
So they're picking them off in the air?
In the air, sorry, yeah, I should have been more clear. They're picking them off in the air.
I've seen them do this, man. That's fact. I've
Wow.
seen this. I've seen
I'm
video
gonna go.
clips.
I'm gonna go fact. I'm gonna go fact too.
Well, I was gonna call like fiction on account of technicality, like maybe it wasn't in Louisiana. But
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll join the crowd.
Oh, it wasn't. You're right. It's in Illinois. Sorry.
So
Actually,
you got that wrong.
I read that wrong.
Nice. I was wondering
Yeah,
about that.
'cause
Louisiana doesn't seem like right. Like they don't. Do they have Asian carp in Louisiana?
I'm pretty sure it's a problem in the Mississippi.
In the
Does
Mississippi.
go through Louisiana? Yeah, it does, right?
Yeah.
Dumps into Louisiana.
Yeah.
The Madison River dumps into Louisiana.
Oh no way.
Well, it's one of the headwaters, one of the three headwaters
right.
streams of the Missouri
Right.
Right.
flows into the Mississippi.
Oh wow.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So that was fact, Yelma.
Yeah, that was fact.
Like
I thought
sword-
it was-
Matt was the closest because he
Yeah, Matt
knew
was
something
right.
was up.
Yeah.
But I can't like dock you guys too much because you're Canadians,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, man. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I was strategic in what I picked.
That's like me trying to talk about like, the Yukon or something that I don't know anything about.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know if we know that much about it either.
I'd love to.
Yukon,
I'd love to go
yeah.
up there, man. Oh
I'd
my
love to
God.
go to the Yukon. Oh my god, that'd be crazy.
Grailing.
I went there.
Talk
once,
about pike.
There were nothing but caribou.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did go there once?
Yeah. Well, I went to Alaska one summer and I drove.
Oh.
So I
Oh.
drove up the Alcan.
Yeah.
And I drove back down the Cassiar Highway. So I got sort of Alberta, BC, a little bit of the Yukon and Northwest Territory, like a little corner of it.
Yeah.
And,
Nice.
Nice.
That's
yeah,
sick.
and then I crossed the border back into Alaska, and when they asked me if I had any alcohol to declare, and I said I had a fourth of a bottle of Dr. McGillicuddy, and the customs guy laughed at me.
Amazing.
Felt like less of a man.
Yeah.
Did you go for any grailing up there or up north?
I actually did catch some grailing. I was actually up there for some climbing and mountaineering, but I got like a couple days free. And where I was, we were too close to the toes of the glacier to have like rainbow or salmon run or anything like that.
Mhm, mhm.
There were some Dolly Varden, and the lakes did have some I forget what species of salmon. They had small rainbows, and that's actually where I caught my first grayling.
Oh,
nice.
wow. Nice.
Rad.
Amazing. Yeah.
So good.
So,
Good factor fishy. Yelma, that was good, man.
Thanks, man. Well, you know,
that's fun.
Yeah.
better day by day.
Yeah. Very nice.
So you guys are still on the books to come out here if everything settles down, yeah?
Yeah, totally, man.
Totally. That'd be amazing, man. Oh, hoping so.
You want to see? I'll show you
Oh my God, yeah.
where I'll have you guys staying if that all works out.
Yeah.
Right across the street.
Oh, yeah,
awesome.
Look at that. That's like an Airbnb
Awesome.
there?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. That'd be so fun.
Perfect.
My in-laws rent it so often that they took it off the internet.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, like if I have people coming in town, I just call them and line it up.
Oh, man, that's sick.
Nice. That's amazing. Thanks.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. If everything goes back to, some form of normalcy, we'll be there for
Cross
sure.
our fingers, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
100% cross our fingers.
Yeah.
Well, Matt,
It's
I got to say thanks for coming on the show, man.
Man, yeah, it was great catching up.
It was so fun having you
man.
on.
This Zoom thing's pretty cool.
I know.
They've given free, so they base a little background. They usually, if you're not signed up as an actual member or paying for it monthly, they cut you off after 40 minutes. But based on COVID, they're giving like free trials.
Oh, what are we paying for then?
Yeah, what are we paying for? We paid
So
$20.
I know. So I just found this out on Sunday because I used it because my dad, his Macintosh he has an old iPad, so he couldn't FaceTime more than 2 people.
Huh.
So we had to use Zoom, and when 40 minutes hit, they're like, "Hey, there's a gift for us. Use it unlimited during this
Son
time."
of a bee.
Well, we're paying $20 a month, but whatever. That's cool.
Hey, feed the economy, Mitch.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
What have you guys been tying?
What's that?
What have you guys been tying? What flies?
Oh, man. I haven't been tying really.
Squirmies.
Squirmies, yeah.
I mean, squirmies and just restocking my nymphs for hopefully trying to get a trout season going.
I'll give you my quick show and tell.
Yes.
I got my wire worm, not the not the squirmies.
That's what, when I was on the bow, that's what they had us using.
Okay.
Were wire worms, and that worked really well.
So they kind of have like you're either for them or against them. They have a reputation of hurting the fish. Like some of the ones you buy are like huge, like a fork. So I found the smallest caddis hook that I could find here is an 8.
Yeah.
And it doesn't gaff the fish in the head.
Oh man, yeah, exactly.
I was pretty shocked, like when they pulled out the guy, like I was with some guys from the Bow River Trout Fitters, and they're like, they pulled out. The size of the worm was huge. I was like, whoa, that is a big fly.
It's like a harpoon.
Oh man.
And then we were talking about gotchas. So there's
nice.
my Andros.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Andros gotcha.
That's rad.
Nice.
That's nice.
So big profile, if they see it, they'll eat it.
Right.
Love it.
And then
I want to fish Andros so bad.
Oh my God, me too.
Is my little cinnamon. This is probably my favorite dry fly, or not my favorite dry fly, but probably the one I fish most with clients.
Yeah.
It's a little cinnamon chubby.
Oh, I love it.
Basically.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
But with the tan wing.
Okay, yeah.
But anybody can float it, and then I tie it with this wide gap hook.
Yeah. Nice.
And we don't lose as many. Like those fish stay hooked with that thing.
Oh, man.
Nice.
That's rad.
Smart.
Matt, what's the rest of your afternoon look like? Do you want to do a tie-in video with us? Like a YouTube video?
We can do that.
Yeah? Are
Yeah.
you free?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, sick. So am I. So is Aldo. Yoma might have to leave to go do some work.
I'm doing show and tell with my wife doesn't care what I do.
It was really nice meeting you. I gotta leave. I gotta do some work and get myself organized because it's a big weekend for Mitch and I at the Hive. But
do you know what though? Like, thanks Matt for coming on the podcast, and anybody for listening to the podcast. Go to our YouTube channel because you'll see this video on our YouTube channel, and we'll get actually those flies that Matt just talked about. We'll show them to camera, and then the three of us we'll do some blindfolded tying and see how good Matt can tie blindfolded. What do you think, Matt?
Whoa, never tried it.
Yeah, it's
I love
whack.
this
It's whack, but yeah, you'll just need a buff.
Yeah, just get a buff, and we'll put it over our eyes, and maybe I'm gonna get a beer, and then I'll get my.
And I just wait. I just want to remind you guys because we're gonna post a picture of this on social. So take a nice picture of your fly once it's done, and we'll choose and we'll put it up there. Okay?
Yes, Yelma. But yeah, Matt, thanks for showing us a great time in Texas and actually making that whole thing happen.
Yeah,
man.
And thanks for inviting us to Montana, because man,
totally.
we are stoked to come. And for whatever reason it doesn't happen this year, we're coming.
Yeah, it's we'll keep it on the books regardless of
100%
next year. So
absolutely.
Like, I can't stress enough how beautiful the Madison is, what a great fishery it is, and what a cool place Ennis is. Like,
I appreciate you having me on. Like it's I've done a couple podcasts talking about Texas, but I've never been able to chat so much about my home here on the Madison. So that was nice.
Man, I'm sure I anticipate more. If we do come down in August, we'll definitely do a show then, and we'll be all together then, which will be nice. But
you guys are gonna love Ennis.
Oh God, I can't wait to see it, man. The pictures of
you
it,
guys are just gonna love it.
It's gonna be so fun. Yeah, I can't wait. Well, everybody at home, thanks for listening to the show. That's it for me, Mitch, Aldo.
Bye.
Yelma.
See you guys.
And Matt.
Adios.
You can find all of SoFly's content at sofly.ca. On Instagram, we're at the SoFly Crew. You can reach us at thesoflycrew@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or concerns. On Facebook, we're SoFly, and our podcast is available on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify.